On today's show, James is a spy, just like James Bond. Oh, I bet that dream has a good meaning. Well, no it doesn't. Daphne wants to get her photo taken with the lead singer from Pearl Jam. Now that is good. And then finally, Sharon wants to step into water, but there is a decoy croc in it. What could that possibly mean? Well, you'll have to stay tuned to find out. Hello and welcome to the Dream Interpretation Podcast, the show about life transformation through dream interpretation. The overarching purpose of this show is to instill within you a desire to grow by healing your wounds, however you do it. It is also to instill a desire to discover your spiritual gifts and to use them to help others heal their wounds. We all have wounds and we all have gifts. Interpreting dreams is my gift, so I'm obviously going to use dreams to achieve my objective. Dream after dream, I point out the dreamer's wounds. That's not so you can wear a label showing how you were damaged. No, it's so you can get off your ass and fix it. Become the best version of yourself. And if that requires you to get healing, then get healing. Why would you not? If using your gifts requires you to overcome an obstacle, then overcome that obstacle. Obstacles are never in the way, they are the way. What you do when you meet an obstacle is what defines you. The world does not owe you anything, but it has everything you'll ever need, including everything you need to overcome your obstacles. Don't compare yourself to others. Don't look for unfairness in the world. You will find it. What does the hero do in a movie when they hit their first obstacle, and their second, and their third? Could you imagine them checking the obstacles faced by the hero on screen 2 and giving up in a huff? It sounds stupid, but it's a perfect metaphor for what so many people do. We would expect the hero to push through. Demand no less of yourself. Accept your world as it is and become the best version of yourself you can possibly be. You will then shine a light for others to do the same. Now, let's have a look at some dreams. Here's the first one. James is a spy. Not really his name, but I'm going to call him James. And he's a spy just like James Bond. And it sounds like that would be really a good thing. But is it? No, it's not. And we're going to find out why. So here it is. He calls it the spy. I'm a spy like James Bond, and I'm in a Russian museum. There is a 7-foot tall goon that is chasing me. He knows the museum is locked, and I can't get out, so he takes a bathroom break. When he does, I run down a very long hallway with pictures of Russian bears on both sides. I get to the end of the hallway and there's a ladder that goes through a hole in their ceiling. I know that I can get through this hole, but he cannot. I squeeze through and come out in a large concrete loading dock. There is an old army truck there as I get in it. There are the keys in the truck, but I did not start it because I don't want to draw attention to myself. I decide to save this getaway for later. When I get out of the old truck, I look back at it and it is a brand new, huge, shiny vehicle. It's glossy black and armoured. The tall man is out in the concrete area now and I decide to get into the truck again. It's very high now and will be harder to get in. All right. Well, that's the dream. What could it possibly be about? We know spies hide who they really are. So this is what it's about. It's about a feminine energy issue, issues with mom, and indeed, James is working on cutting the ties with mom at the moment. Healing issues to do with his feminine side. Everything comes down to masculine and feminine energy, and that's what dreams are really about. But they give us concrete things to show us what we need to work on in order to fix the feminine masculine imbalances that we have. So this one anyway, he hides who he is, but he thinks he's special. Thinks he's special to hide who he is, because obviously James Bond is kind of cool. And he says, I'm in a Russian museum. If you're not Russian, we associate Russia with suppression. That's what it means for this dreamer. But we know that from the spy already. So it fits in. It means really about being emotionally cold. And think of the Cold War. He says there's a 7-foot tall goon. So this is going to be the age he needs to work on, age 7. And he says he's chasing me. So he has to work on this. Now he's got to work on his feminine side, but in the dream it's a man chasing him and it's a tall goon and so on. But really that just says that he's too masculine. He needs to let go of the masculine, work on the feminine. Kind of makes it hard sometimes to figure it out, but everything else in the dream almost is feminine. So anyway, he's being chased. He knows the museum is locked, and so of course something being locked is also about the feminine side. It's about suppressing yourself. Nobody can get in, or I'm safe on the inside. Nobody can get to me. Nobody can see me as I am. He says, I can't get out, so he takes a bathroom break. Now, in the dream, he wants to get out. That's good, but because that's the point of this dream. It shows him what he's doing to himself, and he's working on himself. He's several weeks into the process that we work with people now. And so here he wants to break free from the limitation that he's got. So that's good. This goon takes a bathroom break. You need to eliminate this thing that you're doing to yourself where you're keeping yourself locked in, because that's what the guy's doing. When he does, I run down a very long hallway. That's a classic symbol for birth. Being in the womb. The hallway is being in the womb. I get to the end of the hallway, and there is a ladder that goes through a hole in their ceiling. So this is what he has done. In order to protect himself, stay locked in, he has retreated into his head. And that's what going through the hole in the ceiling is about. So going through the hole is really a perfect symbol for birth. Going through a gap or anything narrow in a dream is a really good symbol for birth. He says, I know that I can get through this hole, but he cannot. I squeeze through and come out, and it's definitely birth for sure. I come out in a large concrete loading dock. A dock is where ships berth, so it's a pun on birth as well. So we know it's birth for sure, for all the many reasons that we see in the dream. There's an old army truck there as I get into it. So that's about a regimented thinking because of birth, the way his birth was and what he came here to work on. He said, there are keys in the truck, but I do not start it because I don't want to draw attention to myself. So if we ignored everything else, this is James's issue. He doesn't want to draw attention to himself. That's no good. He needs to be who he is, not anything else. So what is he doing to not draw attention? Is hiding himself, like being the spy, being the chameleon, pretending that he fits in situations where he doesn't feel like he fits in. Now, the other thing here is the keys are in the truck, so that's really cool, except it is a truck, and trucks are masculine. Having the keys there is usually okay, a good thing, because it's like, I've got the ability here to do something. I've got the key in my hand, or access to the key that I need in order to move forward. But he doesn't want to start it. What does he not want to start? He doesn't want to start the engine. And engines are about the heart, and the engine is the heart of the car. And so he doesn't want to start the engine, so he doesn't want to draw attention to himself by accessing his heart. Now he's working on this, and he's going to get through it, and he's going to be fine, and his dreams are going to be vastly different. I decided to save this getaway for later. So even it's like he has pre-planned, if I get into a situation where I'm going to have to show people who I am, or going to have to share emotionally, or let people see me in a vulnerable way, me showing my vulnerable nature, he has a getaway for that set up. He says, I get out of the old truck, I look back at it, and it's a brand new, huge, shiny vehicle. It's glossy black and armored. So black is negative. It's always negative in a dream. And armored is, this is the protection. This is what he uses to protect himself. And he does it out of fear, which is what the black is. The tall man is out on the concrete area now, and I decide to get in the truck again. It is very high now and will be harder to get in. So he's retreated into his head. We know that from going up through a hole in the ceiling. And now he's getting into a truck that's even higher than it was before. So again, highlighting the issue that it's getting harder and harder, or he's going further up into his head, and he's got to deal with that. But that's it. That's the whole dream, and that's the whole analysis. I like the dream. I love the whole idea of being a spy. And it seems like, this is going to be cool, but it's not. And we've seen that on the show before, other dreams where people are spies. It's never a good thing. Trust me, his dreams will change, and it'll stop talking about being a spy, and he will change, and he will start to be more open, and so on. So, great dream. Thanks for sending it in, James. Remember, you can send your dreams to the show by going to dream-analysis.com and clicking on radio show, and then there's the option to send your dream in, and we do it for free. And anybody who sends a dream in can have a free one-to-one call with me where they can ask questions about that dream that I didn't necessarily cover on the show. So here's a dream from Daphne, and in this dream she meets the lead singer of Pearl Jam and she wants to get a photograph taken with him. So how is that a good dream? Well, let's have a look. So here's the dream. I'm on a sofa next to Eddie Vedder. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. He's the lead singer of Pearl Jam. I'm hanging out with friends and he happens to be there. I suddenly realize that I could get a photo of him for my best friend Celeste. I apologize for behaving like a super fan and explain it's Celeste's birthday on Monday, May 9th, and that she loves his music so much. The thought of how excited she will be has me feeling very emotional. Eddie graciously accepts my request and jumps up to go into the next room for the photo. He sits on a raised stool in a room with a low ceiling, like a basement, and poses for the shot. I try to take the photo with my cell phone, but the light over Eddie's head is creating a glare. He has bright blonde hair. I want 2 photos, one of him and one of the 2 of us together. I think to ask one of my 2 girlfriends there who are with us, but it feels like we're in a disagreement and they are being stubborn. And she calls it hanging out with Eddie Vedder. Okay, let's go back, have a look at the dream from the start, and we'll break it down. We obviously can see birth in there, and when we see birth dreams, we also expect to see gifts. And so here, there's more than one gift given. So sitting beside Eddie Vedder is a channeling abilities. Music, singers, and so on, all represent the ability to channel, because music is connected with the spirit world. If you ever read anything or talk to anybody that's had a near-death experience, music is prolific there. But there's something else here. He's the lead singer, so the dreamer's also a spiritual leader. We can tell that from the dream too, just because he's the lead singer, the way she says. There's another thing. It's Pearl Jam, and Pearl in a dream represents wisdom, like pearls of wisdom. So the dreamer's also a counselor. So Daphne is also a counselor. 3 gifts. She's a counselor, spiritual leader, and a channel. And they all work together. She's going to use her channeling ability in order to know how to help people, whether she's working with groups, doing spiritual leadership, or one-to-one with the counseling. But she's on the sofa next to him, so she's meant to relax into that gift. She says, I'm hanging out with friends and he happens to be there. I suddenly realized that I could get a photo of him for my best friend Celeste. So I love the name Celeste, like celestial. So it's like this is a worthy spiritual goal for you to pursue. And I like how the dream uses her. Now, you don't tell us anything about her. If we knew her traits, then we would pick on particular traits that would explain why she shows up in the dream. You apologize for behaving like a superfan. You shouldn't. He's a guide because he has a title. He's a lead singer. So he's a guide and he wants you to interact with him. That's what channeling is. You apologize for behaving like a superfan. So that's already a negative, that you're like, oh, I don't want to interrupt you. Now, why do you not want to interrupt your guide? You do want to interrupt your guide. Your guide is there waiting for you to channel him all the time. And you're like, oh, I don't want to interrupt. I don't want to be, sorry, I'm a bit like a super fan, but blah, 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 blah. Now, it's good in the dream that you do interrupt and he's happy to interact with you just like he would be. So something has caused you to stay back, to feel like you're putting people out if you ask them for help or whatever it happens to be. So that's one of the things that causes you a problem. That's going to be part of the stubbornness. You need to overcome that. You say that it's Celeste's birthday on Monday. So again, that's about your birth. It's always everything in a dream is you, and that she loves his music so much. So that's going to be about you loving your channeling ability that you brought with you. That's really the desire that the dream is trying to bring up. The thought of how excited she will be. Now, we want you to be excited, not her, but you get emotional. You say, it has me feeling very emotional. So we know that you need to work on the feminine side. We know that anyway, because we see later on, you talk about being there with other girls who are stubborn. So there's an issue with the girls. So that's the side you need to work on, feminine side. We would expect that anyway, because spiritual leadership and counseling both work through feminine energy, through having an open and compassionate heart. Eddie graciously accepts my request and jumps up to go into the next room for the photo. Cool. He sits on a raised stool. Yeah, it's a raised stool because he's a guide in a room with a low ceiling. Okay, so the low ceiling is like you're limiting your spiritual side. You're probably aware of that, Daphne. So whatever way you're doing that, you need to fix it. You say it's like a basement. It's not a basement. So it's not really something that's below conscious awareness. It's just that the ceiling is low. And the fact that you pointed out means you need a higher ceiling or need to create more space for your higher aspect. He poses for the shot. That's cool. I tried to take the photo with my cell phone, but the light over Eddie's head is creating a glare. So this is one of the problems. You are spiritually aware, but you think that any of the messages that you would get for somebody would kind of like be glaring on them or too much for them to take, whoever you're talking to. And so you need to overcome that. That's another part of your stubbornness. Don't assume that the messages you're going to get are going to be so strong that it makes you look stupid or something like that, whatever the glare is. But it'll be very easy for you to know that you hold yourself back from this and know why. You said he has bright blonde hair, guides often do in dreams, so that's fine. I want 2 photos. So you notice all the 2s that come up in your dream. 2 photos, 2 girls, and there was 2 rooms, and one of him and one of the 2 of us together. I think to ask one of my 2 girlfriends there with us, but it feels like we're in disagreement. So that's about you being in a disagreement with connecting with your guides or with using the gift. I don't think you need to go as far as cutting the ties with mom. I don't think the issue is as big as that. I think once you have an awareness of the fact that you're holding yourself back because you think it's going to be too much, shining your light is going to be too much on other people, but you came here to shine that light, so you got to do it. But that's it. That's your dream. Work on the feminine side because that's going to help you then with those 3 gifts. Channeling requires both masculine and feminine energy. So obviously the block here is feminine in all 3. So that's cool. So thank you, Daphne, for sending that dream in. In this dream, Sharon finds herself facing a croc in water. And I love the pun that it is. What can it be about? Let's have a look. She calls it strange jungle. So we know just from that, from the jungle, part of the dream is going to be about elimination system, but that's not all. And that's great though, because Sharon does have elimination system issues. She's very aware of them, but she hasn't figured out what the cause of them is. So let's have a look at the dream and then we'll go back and interpret it. It started off as a vacation to the jungle. Gianni and I were there together and several things happened before this, but it's fuzzy now. Anyhow, we walk into a pet shop and Johnny turns into a yellow and orange bird and flies at me. My visuals turn to black as he flies into me and then comes back out as a black and white fish. I wake up but fall back to sleep pretty easily. Then I'm back in the jungle, but it's extra rainy and water is starting to become rivers where there usually aren't any. It's so muddy and murky though. I'm in a boat with a group of people and we are navigating our way through a little village. It's cute. There's this one corner we have been to eat at many times. We start to get out of the boat. Well, I do, and then the boat leaves. But now they're all walking in the water across the street, and it's only ankle deep. Out of the corner of my eye, I see a croc swimming towards the shop I'm standing at. I'm not in the water, and I'm under shade. The shopkeeper steps out, and in the loudest Louisianan twang, says something about the croc being his buddy. Bon cher, my boy. I'm not sure what the name actually was, but I heard this with my actual ears. The girl at the end of the group has red hair and is in a purple t-shirt and light coloured shorts. Must have heard him too, because she's the only one that turned her head around. She motions for me to join them, and as I'm about to step into the water, my uncle's voice booms. That croc is a decoy, and the real one is waiting for you under the water here. He'll snap your leg right off. It's deeper than you think. I hesitate and start debating with myself. 1, why is my uncle here? And 2, why am I actually hearing these voices tonight? And 3, why am I so afraid of this gift? Get out of here, uncle, I say, and I go to step in the water. So that's the dream. Let's go back and analyze it from the top. So here we go. On vacation in the jungle, so that's going to be about your life and about needing to relax. She says Johnny, who's her son, and I were there together and several things happened, but it's fuzzy, so we can't get into that. Says, anyhow, we walk into a pet shop and Johnny turns into a yellow and orange bird and flies at me. So yellow and orange are colours for the digestive and elimination system. If you have my book, you can look at that. Or you've downloaded my dictionary from my website, dream-analysis.com. The dictionary is free. You can look that up and you'll see both those colours are healing colours for the elimination system. So that's great because that's what she wants. The fish, we'll take that one first. Fish live in the water. Water represents the spirit world. So represent your spiritual nature. And then birds represent your ability to achieve a goal. So it's going to be about achieving a spiritual goal. That's what the bird and the fish both are going to represent. And because of the elimination system issue or digestive system issue, we know that working on that is going to help with the achievement of these goals. The black and white color of the fish, that's also, I say in my book, if you see black and white, always look for elimination system issues for that dreamer. And sure enough, Sharon's well aware of them. But again, like I said, doesn't know where they come from. She wakes up, then goes back into another dream. She's back in the jungle, but it's extra rainy and water is starting to become rivers where there usually aren't any. So this is like, life's going to change and I'm going to see spiritual paths that I hadn't seen before, because that's what a river would be about. A river is about your own unique spiritual journey. And rain in dreams is about life. So it's good for it to rain. But she says it's muddy and murky though. So that part isn't good. That's elimination system. So it's connecting again, spiritual side with elimination system. So work there and you're going to fix this problem. I'm in a boat with a group of people. So we know she's a spiritual leader because of the group that she's with. And we're navigating our way through a little village. It's cute. Then there's this one corner we have been to eat at many times. So the eating again is going to connect it back to digestive system. We start to get out of the boat. Well, I do. And then the boat leaves. But now they're all walking in the water across the street. And it's only ankle deep. So this is what she needs to do. She needs to cross the street. She needs to change career, get into the spiritual field. And she needs to deepen her spiritual understanding. And that's what the ankle deep is about. Whenever we see that in a dream, it's always about, you can go deeper. She says, out of the corner of my eye, I see a croc swimming towards the shop I'm standing at. I'm not in the water and I'm under a shade. We'll get this in a second. I'll come back to the croc. The shopkeeper steps out and in the loudest twang says something about the croc being his buddy. Bon cher, my boy. So the shopkeeper, of course, is a guide and he's not afraid. He's not afraid of the crocodile. Or again, she calls it a croc. It's important to use the word croc. And it says this is his buddy, Bon cher. So we know that there's something about the heart here because Sharon comes up in the name and we see women in the boat and so on. We're going to see another woman again. She says, but I hear this with my actual ears. So we know she's clairaudient because she keeps saying this. I'm hearing things with my ears. Clairaudient is where you hear your guides. For a lot of people, if it feels like they're hearing them in the room, which is really cool, just like you would hear somebody else talk, you hear them talk. But even if it starts that way, it often switches to where it's an inner voice, your own inner voice. And you have to learn how to tell when it's your guides talking versus you talking. But that's the gift she has. The girl at the end of the group has red hair and is in a purple t-shirt and light colored shorts. And she must have heard him too because she's the only one that turned her head around. So we know she's a guide because she has red hair. Red and blonde hair in dreams are often the color that guides show up wearing. She also is wearing a purple t-shirt and she says the end of the group. So we know it's spiritual leadership because of the group and the color purple. Purple is the color of the crown chakra. But she's wearing a t-shirt. So this means that the dreamer knows she's a spiritual leader, but she doesn't use it. She holds herself back. And the dream is asking her to make a choice to be the spiritual leader. How do we know it's that? Because this girl who's wearing the purple t-shirt, her guide, another guide in the dream, motions for me to join them. But as I'm about to step into the water, my uncle's voice booms, that croc is a decoy. And a real one is waiting for you under the water. So this is what it is. It's about the spirit world or spiritual field being a croc of fill in the blank. That's what the croc represents in this dream. And I think it's really cool. And that's what she has to overcome. And when I asked her, why has she not made the choice to step into using her spiritual leadership gift that she's very aware of, she said that she's afraid of being criticized and judged, that people will think it's bull. And she used the full phrase, bull blank. I can't say it because I'm on the radio. So it fits in with the croc. People tell her it's a croc. Also, the fact that the croc is a decoy is kind of funny. So it's like this is a trick, fits in with it being a croc. Her uncle says he'll snap your leg right off. And so it's like, this is the leg of her journey. She's on vacation and this is the leg of her journey. He says it's deeper than you think, but that's what she needs to do. She needs to go deeper. She says she hesitates and starts debating with herself about why is the uncle there? Why is she hearing the voices tonight? So she knows in the dream she's clairaudient. She's hearing voices. And then why am I afraid of the gift? So she's also aware of it. And I shared what she told me when I asked. And then she tells her uncle to get out of here. So that's really good. She's going to overcome her fear. So it's family influences that cause her to hold back. And the uncle stands for that, family influences. He's not even very present in her life, this particular uncle. So she was really puzzled as to why he would even show up. But she goes to step into the water and then she wakes up. Because that's the whole point of the dream. It's to get into your spiritual side. Now, she did say that the water was muddy and murky earlier. I made sure to ask her what was the water like at this point in the dream where the decoy croc was. And she said it was lovely and clear, but it was deep. And you knew it was deep. So that's really good. Then she wakes up. That's the end of that dream. She wakes up to the sound of a radio skipping frequencies as it's getting tuned in. So that's another symbol. If you look in my book, it's another symbol for clairaudience. And she's got to tune herself, tune into her guides so that she can hear them. And she is quite stunned after the dream that she definitely heard sounds in her ears and names and so on. I am out of time again. I do hope you enjoyed the show, and go to dream-analysis.com, look up courses. You can see all the things that we're running all the time. We have been running courses more regularly lately just because of something we're trying out. So if you want to do one of our spiritual dimension of dreams courses, that's where we will definitely tell you what your spiritual gifts are from an examination of your dreams. Then go to dream-analysis.com and you'll find that course there, and it's coming up in about 2 weeks' time, and it's going to repeat in a couple of weeks after that. So it's not forever, but just for this period of time. We're running it a number of times. So if you're interested, go to the website, you'll find that course, and you, as part of also being told what your gifts are, you get a free one-to-one bonus reading with one of us on that course as well. All right, I will see you next week. Take care.